Hello guys, Ellen Suddeth of ESP presents How Are You Guys Doing? This is going to go on YouTube and I'm going to do my book review with you guys being here. How cool is that? Thank you to my Facebook family and also YouTube family now. Our book we just finished, we are ESP book chats. So we just finished our book with Victor McLaughlin. Oh my gosh. Lots of characters in there. Victor really did this. So here's the book right here. Check it out. I know it's going to look upside down from there. But there's the book there. By Victor McLaughlin. Bags, ladders, guys. Oh my gosh. This had me up. Eyes peeled. And just trying to stay up to finish. So here you have Pastor Orlando. He has a couple of main characters with him. His sidekick, Deacon Stephen. His name is Stephen Deacon Mosley. So this guy is a true ride-or-die sidekick. And then you also have Paula, which is Deacon Mosley's wife. She got her eyes on, we got to call him intern Pastor Orlando, because he has not quite been indicted as a pastor or ordained as a pastor. And here you see him, I think he was a good shepherd in his own right. Because here you have him, he does quite a few bit of things. He helps out his community. He tries to be law-abiding. And he is just a really good guy in his own right. So he is being looked at to be a pastor. So keep in mind that Sister Betty Burlington, she lets him know you're intern. But with that being said, Pastor Orlando, he really does things in his own right. I just have to say that, in his own right. But they see him, they see what he's doing. He does help, like I say, help the community. And he really wants to be good. His past, his life kind of creeps up with him. So there's so many things and so many pieces and bits of things that cause him to not be a favored. But then there's some things that cause him to say, hoorah, he's a good pastor. So, Pastor Orlando, what I like in there were some things that I saw that I like. I like how he took on his I guess I would say adopted niece, his aunt Teresa. She took in Jessica. Jessica's been through a lot of stuff. Jessica was, as a young child, she was manipulated, misused, taken advantage of. Her mom died. She was a drug addict. So the way she died was like, you might as well dispose, just bam, just disposed of her. And that left Miss Jessica vulnerable. But she become this strong girl. So you have, like I say, you have Deacon Mosley, who's the sidekick. Intern. You got to say intern. Intern Pastor Orlando Clay. And then you have more characters that's in the place. You have Nelson that you have to be watchful eye on. So Nelson, he's this guy that kind of rubs Pastor Orlando in the wrong way. Back in the day, there was something that happened in Pastor Orlando's life that caused him to be locked behind bars for 5 years. And his wife and his children became a victim of what happened in Pastor Orlando Clay's life. I mean, a huge victim, like a hit and run, and they were gone. So here he has to face that, along with being in prison for 5 years. And then there's some more characters that I like. I like Numbers. Numbers is a character, a bit of a challenge. He has something going on, and you know what I mean by he has challenge. But he is very, very smart. I absolutely love Numbers. Numbers is the kind of guy that, you know, you have in your neighborhood, and he kind of walks around, and you say, well, there's so-and-so, and you know what he does, walk around, and he loves to disregard newspapers. From there, he learns the stock market, he learns a lot of things, but going back, Numbers really helped Pastor Orlando. He really helped him with the stock market, and he knew exactly what was going on, and it caused Pastor Orlando to kind of look at him in a different way. He looked at Numbers, and he said, Numbers is different. He's quite different, but he's smart. So you have Numbers, and I really like him. Saint Nick. My gosh. Saint Nick is a kingpin. And Saint Nick, I think he wants to just have control of everything. So he and Pastor Orlando, kind of a rivalry thing going on, power struck thing. And then you have Pasha. Pasha, she was in the limelight, lady of the night, but she had her business going, and her and Orlando used to have something going on back in the day. And don't be closing your eyes on Duke. Just don't call him La Duke. Keep your eyes on him and Grunt. Those two guys, ruthless. Ruthless. They got this thing going on, and you don't want to mess with them. You do not want to mess with them. Then you have Carolyn. Carolyn, she's in there, and she's like, I would call her the church secretary. And then you have these deacons. Ooh, don't play with them old deacons. They got their eyes on Orlando Clay too. But there's a lot of things that happen in this book that shows some human trafficking of the worst kind. And you have quacks who are doing these so-called organ surgeries to remove these organs. And guess where they got their training from? Yep, YouTube. YouTube on how to remove organs. These guys are sloppy. They just want to get paid. You have Hollywood. You have Slimwood. Woody. And so these guys are something else. Those are guys that has many facets that's going on in this story. And you have just a lot of stuff. But overall, remember to call him intern, Pastor Orlando. He did do a lot for the community. He did not take the church's money. He had his own investments. In fact, 12 investments, and he invested pretty well. But he just could not shake the world from him. When he was in prison, that's when he found the Lord. So for me, I think that Pastor Orlando Clay, he really, really want God at best interest. But for me, as a reader, I believe it was kind of like a homage, or that he owed God for getting him out of this type of prison that he was in and the charges that he had, trumped up charges, guys, that he had. And I didn't think he quite studied to know God, but he had a heart for the community, but he just could not shake his past. And then there's some things that go on. Some Sister Betty and them, they have other pastors that they want to look at because they're not quite sure if in turn Pastor Orlando quite fit the bill. So they come into different interesting guys that they want to interview because they don't trust Pastor Orlando Clay. So there's quite a few guys. Minister Breed Love, he's one of the ones they look at. And also Manning, they look at him too, Minister Manning. So did they pick the right one? Or did they bite off more trouble than they can? And then there's also some things I like that he showed in his book also, like there was 2 little girls and 2 guys in a very uncompromising position. And the way he wrote this out, the way Pastor Orlando Clay handled this, it was good. I think it was really good. So when you guys read it, you'll see what he did for the guys in reprimanding them for this uncompromising thing that happened at the house of God. I think everyone in their right got their just due. But what I do love about it is that the young ladies, although a guy would always be a guy, and the young ladies, I think, was given grace. So much grace, redemptive grace, that the church could have really, really scarred them for this uncompromising things that they said. The video was out and everybody was watching. Well, those that are on staff. And then Sister Betty Burlington, she thought it was right to just tell everybody. But Pastor Orlando Clay handled this well. So I like the things he did like that. And also the things of helping them. Keep in mind, he didn't take any money from the church. He had his own investment. He didn't want to take from the church. But he also helped the community by sending kids to college. So how cool was that? So all those right things that he done in a godly-like way, his life that he lived was really something else. There's a lot of moving pieces, as I say, and there's a lot of things that says, do not pick him as a pastor. He will not be the one. And we're going to talk about this. I see you there, Queenie Queen. I don't know if you're able to come up in my video. I don't mind. And I'm talking bits and pieces without giving it away about Pastor Orlando Clay. And it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was, it kept me up. There's some things that you would just, it'll be so hard. It was a lot of things, a lot of challenging things going on. So that is our book review on that. We don't want to give it away. And I gave it a 5. I give this a 5. And then we have coming up our next book that we have coming up. We're going to kick off the reading in that today. We're going to read Perry Busby book. And it's titled The Hacks of Life. I will put that on there and different things like that. This story will it's a IT. And it's centered in 1993. And this is before an era of computers. So you will see in there that this was way before its time. And the main character, you have Phil Jacobson. And he is a tech programmer, and he could very well save this company, and is in the new age of showing how internet got started. So that's what we're going to be talking about as a book club, because he's going to, Perry Budsby, he's going to be on Facebook, on Zoom. We're going to talk to him live on Zoom about his book. So we did a little bit with him. And then as far as a reading, our book club, we're going to read our book, and it is the girl who was stolen. So two girls, they were abducted, and the main character there, and I'll put that tag there, I'll put it there. So the girls who were taken. So it's two girls that were abducted, and one doesn't return. They're seniors in high school, and you have Megan McDonald, and you have Nicole Cuddy. So we're going to start reading this, and it's in the town of Emerson Bay, which is in North Carolina. That's where it's centered at. And then you have her older sister. Nicole has an older sister, and her name is Liva, Livia. So she's a forensic pathologist, or pathology. You'll see her, and she wants to figure out, if her sister, she got hopes of her sister coming back, and she expects her to coming back. But this is, bottom line, the story is about two girls that was abducted. So we get to see about that, and that is our 5th book, and that is by that one is by Mr. Don Lee. So we'll get to see that, and I will post that on there because I'm going a little fast, and we will talk not to him, but we will read his book, and I'm looking forward to reading that, and we will put his bona fide name on the link. No worry, so we'll have the name there. And we are going to talk to, this is another show that we have coming up. We're going to talk to Jelena A. Jordan. And there was a letter that she wrote to Ben Carson, the Secretary of Housing, Department of Housing. So there's this letter she wrote, and he talked about raising the rent for senior citizens. So we got to look out for our senior citizens. And Jelena, she wrote the letter, and it gave a really big buzz. And so I'm going to post that there so you guys can see that. So we're going to read the letter, and we're going to look at it, and you guys can look at it, dissect it, whatever you want to do. And we'll talk about it on the 19th of this month at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So guys, get ready for that. And we will have a ball on that. So again, guys, from the top, we're going to do a live chat with Jelena A. Jordan, and that's going to be on 7/19, and that's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it will be at 6 Central Time. So we'll talk about that. And then also on the 30th, we're going to talk to Dr. Dawn Minge. We're going to talk about her book. I love this book. It's a children's book, and it's titled Queen Vernita. So Queen Vernita, she has a castle, and she's going to invite guests in, and the guests will be there for a week. So I really like that. I really like how she have guests of all walks of life. She have one guy in there. He has cerebral palsy, and so she doesn't treat him any different, and I just love that fact of that. And so also on August 14th, guys, we're going to talk to Perry Budsby about his book, The Hacks of Life, Hacks of Life. So that is what we got going on. And don't forget don't forget on July 30th, we're going to talk to Omar Tyree. He has these ebooks out, and it's all titled American Disease, Episode 1. And we're on 3 now, but Episode 1 was full-blown and fatal. Episode 2 was Survival of the Fittest. Now we're on Episode 3, which is out right now. Go get your ebooks. I'm going to put that all there. Episode 3 is Money Over Everything. So we look forward to that. And no worries, guys. I will put the link there, and you guys will have the name of our books, the authors, and all of that. So, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, Queenie. Thank you, Stanley. Good to see you, Stanley. Hadn't seen you like in 105 years. Thank you. That's some blue writing, so I think that's Shanita. I hope I say Shanita. Thank you for being here. And Linda Whitlock, thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for watching the review. And I'll give it 5 stars. And we're going to talk about it on Friday, guys. We're going to talk about... Are you here to be up here, Queenie? Or are you just there? Can you come up or no? We're going to talk about... Victor McLaughlin's book. We're going to talk about it live on Facebook Live. And keep in mind, guys, no worries. I'll put all links there so you'll be able to know the author's names and the book and the description of the book and all of that. Thank you guys for being here. Ellen Sudeth of ESP Presents. You guys have been great. Bye-bye.